Alright, so I'm gonna set things straight. Aromantic was probably up there as my most anticipated album of the year. And I'm gonna say this now, this is in contender for their best work. The album is just fantastic. It merges Sometimes the World Ain't Enough with their earlier works to make this album that is unique and experiments with different styles along the way. Trust me when I say this, Golden Swanson alongside Karmasita 7 is probably their most different that they've ever departed. And they do little things here and there throughout the album that adds nice little changes throughout the songs. I mean, you have the more symphonic side of the classic rock with stuff like the vinyls and transmission, and then with Curves you go back to their earlier stuff where it's more guitar focused and you just hear Bjorn singing, and let me just say, he is fantastic in this. He does a few new vocal styles throughout the album and they are all welcome, they are all good. Aside from a song that has a small bit that I didn't really think went, he is fantastic. He does a bunch of different stuff, from the more over the top style that was in this time to their earlier stuff, which was a lot more slow and chill. Beyond his vocals just work, man. There's not much that I can really say apart from he just steals the show. And I'm not the biggest fan of his stuff in Soul Walk. I've never really liked them, but the Night Flight Orchestra is like his calling. It's like this was what he was made to be. This was the band he was made to be with. And I just feel that whenever I hear any of his stuff, whenever I hear anything from the Night Flight, I just think that this band is right for him. And I don't want to understate everything else. You've got the guitars, you've got the keyboard work, you've got the mixing, and it all just works. I mean, I can't just state how Jonas's work on the keyboard just makes this album so good. I mean, everyone makes this album amazing. I mean, everyone just pulls through and just outshines each other in just different sections. And you don't really get that when it comes to, rock or metal or whatever. There's usually a few stars with everyone else backing them up, but I feel that everyone was a star here. The album is just a combination of everything they've done, and I've just realised that I haven't really mentioned any of the songs, so I'm gonna do that. So let's start off in order. Servants of the Air, a bit ballsy for its length, but great. The Vinyls, a good symphonic hard rock song. If Tonight Is Our Only Chance, more of their older stuff, but refined. This Boy's Last Summer is if Skyline Whispers was more symphonic. Curves is a good homage to Internal Affairs. Transmission, more of a poppy symphonic song, but still great all the same. Aromantic embraces Skyline Whispers and then just goes full in on that style, with some good symphonic elements to top it all off. Golden Swan's Down, the slowest song on the album, as well as probably their most experimental, still great, and probably one of the best songs on the album. Taurus, a low point in a sea of great songs. Karmasita 7, a great song, but just gets a bit too weird for me towards the end. I felt like the final 20 or 30 seconds was a bit unnecessary. Sister Mercurial, a pretty good song that I feel fails to stand out among the others. And finally, Dead of Winter, a oddly upbeat song for a depressing end to a story and the end to an album. Now, as much as I want to just keep praising and praising this album, there is one major gripe I have to give this album, and that's the fact that it doesn't fully commit to song transitions. Some songs transition well into each other, and some songs just end and then the next song begins. There's no warning or anything. It goes from the final note to, oh, a new song, but some of them lead into each other. And it's weird and jarring and takes you out of the experience from what is a great album. I mean, what would have been nice would have been maybe a 2 or 3 second, just a brief brace for the next song instead of going straight into it, and that would have been nice to have, but unfortunately it doesn't have that. Fortunately, if you have something like Spotify, you can kind of inbuild that so it has that natural transition. So if you have that turned on, I doubt you'll notice a difference or even know that that was there. Putting everything aside, I think Aromantic is great. It's well worth a listen for anyone that likes classic rock, hard rock, or symphonic rock because there is something there for you. I am sincere when I say I love this band, I love the Night Flight, and I love what they do because each album is something different and does offer something different. As much as I would like them to go back to stuff like Skyline Whispers, Internal Affairs, and if it's their creative vision to do stuff like this and not go back to their earlier stuff, then that's fine because this stuff is still fantastic. Aromantic was still a fantastic album that I can just recommend to anyone who enjoys rock in general. It is that damn good. So with all that said, it comes to the rating, and I'm gonna give it a 9.1 out of 10. I would have given it a 9.5, but the transitions seriously ruined it for me. It seriously was jarring, and that's the reason I wouldn't have given it that. I'm gonna give it a 9.1 because it honestly deserves to be around a 9, and I didn't really want to give it like a 9.3 because I thought that would have been a bit of a cop out. So I'm just going to give it a 9.1 because that's what I feel it deserves. It is seriously just a great listen.